Welcome to Meeting 5 of our Research to Practice pipeline. At this point in the year, we've done quite a bit of work together. We've selected a research article, created a podcast, shared clinical implications through social media across the year, and developed a blog post that translates research into practice. Today, we're taking the next step in that sequence by focusing on how to turn that work into a webinar. A webinar allows us to engage practitioners in deeper professional learning while still staying grounded in the research and real-world practice. Here's what we'll focus on today. We'll start by talking about why webinars matter in the research to practice pipeline and how they fit into our year-long dissemination sequence. Then we'll walk through how to dissect your research article for webinar content, how to structure an effective research-based webinar, and how to design delivery that is engaging and accessible for practitioners. We'll also discuss professional expectations for webinars and end with clear action steps before our next meeting. Let's begin with the why. Webinars allow us to move beyond static dissemination and into professional learning. Unlike social media or blogs, webinars give us the opportunity to explain ideas in greater depth, model thinking, and support sustained practice change. Webinars position you as a content expert. They allow you to engage educators, leaders, and community partners in conversation around research-based practice. They also serve as a bridge between your blog and your conference presentation. Much of what you develop here can later be adapted for conference sessions or extended into your practice article. In short, webinars are a powerful tool for research to practice dissemination. Let's situate ourselves in the research to practice process again. We've already completed the podcast, we're sharing social media posts across the year, and we've developed a blog post. Now we're focused on the webinar. After this, we'll move into submitting practitioner conference proposals and then writing a practice article. Every step builds on the same research article and the same set of clinical implications. That consistency is what strengthens your work and allows it to grow across formats. Your accountability partner continues to be an important part of this process. As you begin planning your webinar, use your weekly meetings to review outlines, clarify learning objectives, and think through pacing and engagement. Good questions to ask each other include, is the purpose of the webinar clear? Are the clinical implications explicit? Does the structure make sense for a practitioner audience? These conversations help keep your work focused and aligned with the research to practice goals. Before we design our own webinars, it's helpful to think about examples we've experienced as learners. As you reflect on a webinar you've watched, consider what worked well and what didn't. Was the content engaging? Did the presenter clearly connect research to practice? Did the session feel organized and purposeful? This reflection helps calibrate our expectations before we begin creating our own webinar. When you begin creating your webinar, remember that you're not starting from scratch. Your blog content becomes the foundation for your webinar. Your social media post helps promote it. Your podcast has already helped you practice explaining the research out loud. The goal here is to expand and deepen what you've already done, not to reinvent it. Start by identifying the key clinical implications you want participants to walk away with. When we dissect our research article for a webinar, we have to be selective. A webinar is not a full literature review. Instead, choose 2 or 3 core ideas that are most relevant for practice. Focus on what practitioners should do differently and why. Keep the audience in mind. This is a professional learning, not an academic defense. Everything you include should serve the goal of helping participants apply the research in real settings. A strong webinar has a clear structure. Start with an introduction that establishes the problem and explains why it matters. Move into the research-based ideas that address the problem. Then focus on practical application, what participants can do in their own context. Finally, close by reinforcing the key takeaways. This clear beginning, middle, and end helps participants stay engaged and makes your content easy to follow. Delivery matters just as much as content. Use clear, accessible language and avoid unnecessary jargon. Speak at a steady pace and pause to emphasize key points. Remember that your audience is made up of practitioners who want to understand how research applies to their work. Our role is to guide that understanding, not overwhelm them. Visuals should support learning, not distract from it. Use slides to highlight key points, define important terms, and illustrate examples. Avoid overcrowding slides with text. Think of your visuals as anchors that help participants follow your thinking as you speak. Engagement is an important part of effective webinars. Consider how you might ask participants to reflect, respond in the chat, or think about application in their own setting. Even in recorded webinars, posing reflective questions helps listeners stay mentally engaged and connect the content to their practice. There are a few professional expectations we want to keep in mind. Webinars should be grounded in research and accurately represent the study. Language should be professional, respectful, and practitioner-friendly. Content should be organized, purposeful, and clearly connected to practice. Your webinar is a public representation of you as a scholar practitioner, so professionalism matters. As you plan and eventually deliver your webinar, take time to reflect. Ask yourself, was the purpose clear? Were the clinical implications explicit? Was the content engaging and applicable? Did the session support meaningful learning? This kind of reflection helps you refine your work and prepare for future dissemination opportunities. As you prepare to record your own webinar, I want to share the process I used for this series. After creating the initial content, I shared it with a few colleagues and made revisions based on their feedback. I then practiced the delivery while reviewing the slides, which helped me smooth out transitions and wording. When I was ready, I recorded the audio while reading the revised script aloud, which minimized pauses and stumbling. I also created a transcript of that audio and embedded it into the notes section of the slides. This is helpful for accessibility and reference while recording. Taking the time to revise the script made the final product much stronger and more polished. Before our next meeting, your action steps are: draft a webinar outline, identify clear learning objectives, review your outline with your accountability partner, begin developing slides or supporting materials. Think ahead to how this webinar could translate into a conference presentation. Thank you for your continued engagement in the Research to Practice pipeline. You're doing important work by translating research into meaningful professional learning for practitioners. At our next meeting, we'll build directly on this work as we're focusing on submitting practitioner conference proposals. We look forward to continuing this journey with you.